Welcome to the Green Room, your backstage pass to the world of surfing. I'm your host, surf MC and commentator Terry Tappa, diving into epic wins, crushing fails and wild stories with surfing's biggest names, as well as the legends working behind the scenes to keep that stoke alive. A big shout out to our sponsor for this episode, the Official Beer Co. with their new GC Lager. So wax up, paddle out and join us in the Green Room, where the surf chat never goes flat. G'day folks, welcome to the Green Room. Well, I've known today's guest for I reckon about 17 years when he first turned up at Burleigh as a skinny 9-year-old grommet at Burleigh Boardriders, only 9, a little bit quiet, mild-mannered, and a good young man, and his surfing really showed out. I remember like when I was commentating him in some junior comps, particularly at Byron one day, they go, that kid does man turns, and that was when he was about 10. But currently he's 8th on the Challenger Series, looking to be back on the WCT in 2026. The bloke has up and downs, and as many athletes do, but he keeps pushing through, and he's got the style that every surfer aspires to: speed, power, flow, innovation. Got a bit of everything. Besides that, he loves the big stuff. Respected in Hawaii, a top bloke to boot, Burleigh Boardriders' favourite son. He puts up the tents, he does the barbecue, he even judges. Liam O'Brien, welcome, mate.
Thanks for having me, Tappa. Thanks for the kind words.
Oh, mate, as always there, mate. Yeah, God, I just remember as a little bloke. Actually, the funnest memory I remember of you as a little bloke, me and you and your dad went and surfed Lennox, and it was that little rocky, and you were zipping, you were running around about 1,000 times. I think you were about 12 or something, and I got my last wave, and I was like Elvis trying to get off the rock with the shaky legs trying to get out after a wave, and you were just skipping everywhere, just going, yeah, look at the kid go.
Yeah, but, yeah, I remember that day. That was fun.
Yeah, it wasn't that big,
times,
but it was just like a little Lennox rocky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was just riding up the rocks, running around.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, well, you were young, mate. No pain back then or anything. Now, mate, you started up, well, you didn't start in Victoria. I read that, mate, you're a Brizzo at the start, were you? Started Brisbane?
Yeah, I guess my childhood was a little all over the place, a little bit nomadic, but my family's all from Victoria and sort of far west Victoria in a town called Portland. But Dad had moved up here by the time I was born and was working in Brisbane. So I was born in Brisbane, and then we moved to the Gold Coast maybe 6 months later. So from when I was about 6 months until 5, we lived on the Goldie.
Did you start surfing here, or what age did you start surfing?
Yeah, started surfing on the Gold Coast probably around pretty young, 3 or 4. Dad had me on the board. Not properly surfing, but out in the water, loving it.
Yeah. I think I was about 4 or 5. Dad made me a little him and his mate Chris Pantana made this little board. I don't think I could even stand up, but I just remember being in the whitewash and jumping on it and standing there as the waves moved and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But, mate, Adam Robbo still claims you. Every house said Robbo, he's ours, he's a Victorian. But, mate, how was it in Portland, mate? Because that's pretty chunky waves there, isn't there, Portland?
Yeah, there's a lot of different waves. It's sort of right out in the middle of nowhere at the very bottom of Oz, so it's really cold. It's pretty raw. It's a lot different to around here. So I was, when we moved there, I was like 5 or 6 or something like that. And we actually lived in Melbourne for a year and then moved to Portland for a couple of years, then Melbourne for a year and then back. But it was pretty cool. I was lucky that I was so fanatical about surfing already, because I think if I hadn't gotten into it by that point, I probably would have been not as into it.
Because it's so cold.
Yeah, it's cold. You got to trek down to the beach. You don't just pull up and walk out onto the sand and paddle straight out and then come in and there's a shower for you on the beach and shit like there's around here. It's much more of a kind of like a hardcore surf experience. You got to pull up. You can there'll be somewhere you can check the waves, and then you got to trek down the beach and bring all your crap down the beach with you, get changed, jump in. It's freezing cold. There's no one around. And it's just more difficult to go surf. You can't just go and sort of jump in for the quick half hour and get out and run to work or run to school or whatever.
You'd have to be pretty hardcore too, because of being so cold, wouldn't you? You'd have to really want it,
Yeah, definitely. And there's days like here where it's not very good, and it's just that extra. It's that extra motivation to not get in when it's cold as well. You're like, So I was lucky that I was really into it, and that my he's a fanatical surfer as well.
Yeah,
so,
guy's a good surfer.
Yeah. So we'd go surfing a whole bunch down there, and down at Adam Robbo's from down there as well, as you mentioned. But bunch of guys down there that really kind of were pretty influential in my formative years, learning all about surfing and different waves and swells and even just like the hierarchy and the lineup and having respect and waiting your turn. That was definitely like a big thing down there because there isn't many surfers. So you wait your turn and, you don't paddle across someone or you just, you chill. It's
Different to the Gold Coast.
Exactly. So then when I moved back, it was a bit of a culture shock trying to surf snapper, just getting eaten alive out there.
Oh, yeah, mate. Now, you got a powerful direct style. Do you kind of attribute that to your early surfing in Victoria where there's so much power?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Dad had me riding this sort of pretty long board for a long time.
Single fin or a thruster?
It was a thruster. Well, I learned on one of his boards, but it was like a cut down mini mal. I think it was 5'5", which doesn't sound very long, but
it does when you're about 2 foot tall.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, everyone else would be riding like 5'0s. I think they ride even shorter boards now. The Legroms,
yeah,
like
I know.
4'10s.
I've seen one this long.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
But I was on a 5'5" until I was probably like 10 or 11. Which was like, it was quite a long board for me at the time and it was hard to turn. So it wasn't really responsive and I couldn't go, straight up and down. Yeah. So it kind of had that single fin effect where you got to draw your lines out and you got to surf a bit slower, but you got to feel the wave in. And I think that's probably got something to do with it.
Yeah. When I was 14, I had a 5'10" single fin, one of Nev's first boards he shaped up here. And now I think of it, how little I was. But it just makes you use your rail, I think, more than anything with that. You had to learn how to use your rails rather than just flick it off the bottom.
I think so, yeah. And then, I don't know. There were positives and negatives. I'm a pretty slow surfer as well, and that's probably because I was running that old kind of crusty board for so long. But yeah, I think you definitely need to learn to use the board more than to just manhandle the board when it's a little bit big for you.
Yeah,
and it's the same concept with the single fin too. Like they don't just turn on a dime like your current high performance thrusters do. So you really got to learn to work with the board and then use the right parts of the wave to turn, as opposed to just manhandling it and surfing wherever you want.
Well, there you go, Groms. See, surf a bigger board for a while. Learn how to use your rails. But, mate, you almost weren't in Burleigh Boardriders. You were in Snapper, wasn't it? Your grandma or something lived at Snapper, Rainbow or something, yeah?
Yeah, when we first moved up, my dad, he had no idea about the Boardriders culture on the Gold Coast. Yeah. He's from Victoria, a tiny town where there wasn't even a Boardriders club when he was growing up. There is now, the Portland Boardriders. They're out there in action.
I'll be chasing you down, mate.
Yeah, but no, back then there wasn't such a thing. So when he moved up, he didn't really have an understanding of how it all worked. We actually moved. When we moved, he got a job as the accountant for Dreamworld.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. Before that, he worked at the council up near the Home of the Arts now. That's kind of where the offices were. Yeah. And so his theory was, he either wants to live close to the beach or close to work. And close to the beach was already getting a bit hard price-wise. But he decided, to move us in close to work, to his work, which was up in Benoa there. So I've always actually lived in Benoa the whole time I've been been on the Gold Coast. But... as I said, he didn't know much about the Boardriders setup up here, and my nan lived down at Cooley in the Twin Towns, and we'd go down on weekends to visit and stuff. So he's like, you might as well. He knew about Snapper, so he goes, you might as well join Snapper, and that was kind of short lived, but I did a few club rounds down there.
Jay, you missed out, mate. You let him go.
But no, that was cool to kind of kick it off there, and you see the level on the Gold Coast. It was like, whoa, these kids from down here are gnarly. Like everyone's ripping, and I was kind of just bogging my way through a couple of heats, and then it didn't quite pan out. So one day we were at the point having a surf, and fortune would have it that Eddie Lindors was down there doing the junior sign on, and I think at that time, maybe there weren't many juniors in the club at Burleigh. You can probably speak to this.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, we started a junior development program probably 5 or 10 years before Liam got there. And that was to raise money to put in the juniors. And so we're really looking for juniors at that stage. So
yeah, exactly. And they were just doing a junior sign on. They just had a table set up at the shed there in the middle of the point and a little sign out. And Dad got chatting to Ed, and the rest is history. Pretty much joined the club, and never left. Felt like family since.
Mate, there was a group of you guys that were crazy. There was you, Maddie, Toby, Hanada. Hold this 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. You guys were nuts. It was like one stage, 5 of yous, or the 4 of yous were in the top 5 in Queensland, the top 5 juniors. It's like the girls now. The girls are killing it. But that must have been a good little battle between all you blokes there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think the first year I joined, there weren't many Groms in the club at all. And I think I remember doing like cadets. That was the lowest division you could do. That was under 16s, and I was like 9. So surfing against like Jed and Byron and
they
those
would have been
guys.
spewing, getting beaten by you.
And then I think they started doing Burleigh started doing like Grom camps over at the Tally Rec Centre.
Yeah.
And then the junior sort of population just exploded. So many, every Grom that surfed in the area wanted to join Burleigh, and it just went nuts. Went from like no one in the club to about 100 Groms in the club. And yeah, some of those were, Matty Job, Tobes and Arts.
Yeah.
And a freaking bunch of other really good surfers, like so many guys. And it was really cool because there's just this like big community down the point of kids, the same age as you that were always down there surfing and hanging out and running amok. And it was just it was a sick time. You go surf all day and you get dropped off at the beach with a backpack and then post up on the rocks and you'd be there for the day. And that was like the social hangout. It was
should find some of those old pictures of you and Maddie and all that. It looks so funny when you're like 10 and 11 and that you just see these tiny little skinny ones. You're the only one that wears the Burleigh shirt, by the way. I think in one of those photos, you're the only one that had it. But mate, what are your favourite surf spots on the Goldie?
There's a lot of good ones. Of course, Burleigh. I mean, that's obvious. Yeah. There's nothing like scoring good waves at home, and the Point's probably not the most consistent wave on the coast, but when it's on, it's unreal, and you get good barrels, and I love it out there. And then, I mean, no one's going to deny Kira. Like, that's one of the best waves in the world, and same thing. It's not on very often, but when it is, it's unreal, and it's just a tube fest, and it's a zoo, but it's it's. I don't know. You can't really deny it. It's frustrating, but it's really fun at the same time.
Stratty would have to be your favourite, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then as I've said, I've always lived up there, so I spend a lot of time over there surfing that joint. It's nice and consistent. Obviously, gets a bit more wind affected in the southerly, but I just enjoy trying to avoid the crowds, especially these days. I just try and dodge it as much as I can. So I'm often happy to trade in offshore for onshore if that means less crew, and up there's often kind of got that on offer. So they're probably the 3 main spots I spend most of my time.
You did pretty good at that comp when they had it in COVID, didn't you?
Did
you win that, was it?
I got second. Yeah, Mikey Wright won.
That's right. Yeah, because I had to do that. We had to go over on boats with masts and we weren't allowed in this area. Man, that was like kind of bizarre, but it was pretty chunky that day too.
I think it was 2 days. It was odd because it was this time of year. I think it was in October.
Yeah.
And I remember Kieran Perot, he rang me up and was like, what do you reckon? What do you reckon days we should run? And I was looking at the forecast going, shit, it's going to be freaking terrible. Like, good luck. And then, that little east swell just popped up, and normally the short period ones are pretty junky over there.
Yeah, like those long period easterly kind of swells.
That contest, I don't know, for some reason it was good. It was kind of handling, and there's some good waves went down. There's a couple of chunky tubes, and it's pretty cool. I think they'll be the first and last event over there, but kind of cool that it happened.
Yeah. Well, they had to, because of the isolation thing, they could do that. Now, mate, how old were you when you thought, I'm going to have a crack at this pro surfing thing? Because, you're always up there, state titles, national titles, the Grom search and all that sort of stuff. But when did you sort of think, hey, I'm going to have a crack?
I didn't really have one moment where I thought, I can do this. I did all right through my junior career, but I wasn't like that good. I was probably like a notch off the top crew, the top pack. And it was always like, I really love surfing, and I was always going to just do it as long as I could, regardless of whether I was good enough. But it felt like there was always a bit of a carrot being dangled in front of me. Like I'd go through phases where I'd just suck and lose first heat all the time and get really bummed on it, and kind of start thinking, maybe it's not for me, might look into doing something else. And then I'd have a good result and like, oh no, maybe I am good enough to do it. And it kind of went that way for a long time. And even the first year, I was always going to try and do 1 year on the QS. I was like, that was my dream to go and have a crack and travel around. And
not bad though when you're 18 years of age to see the world go and surf.
Exactly,
it's
yeah,
pretty good.
Exactly.
Good
So that, I mean, regardless of how it went, I always wanted to at least do 1 year and just try it out.
Yeah.
And as I said, I loved it too. Like, I loved getting to go surf, getting to compete, getting to travel and hang with your mates. Like, it was the coolest thing ever. So I had a pretty crappy year that first year. And it was a bit deflating. Yeah. But I got to the end and it was the same thing again where I went, oh, I think I might be done. I might be going back to uni. And then I won a 1,000 and went, oh, what the hell? And maybe I can do it. So it went that way for a long time. But I think the first moment where I really thought, oh, maybe I can make something of this was at the US Open in 2019. I ended up getting runner-up to Yago Dora. Yeah. And had a bunch of big heats on the way and managed to beat a few guys that I didn't rate myself against. And kind of went, oh, well, maybe if I can do it once, I can do it again. And that was probably, for me, the real moment where I got a bit of confidence in myself and thought, oh, you know what, I can do this and should try and do this. And
well, it's pretty funny because those sort of waves are not the kind of waves you'd expect you to perform in. You know, like was 2 foot grovel, a bit kind of like the Spit though.
Yeah,
yeah, that might be. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for all the charm of the Gold Coast, you do get a lot of grovel. That's everyone overlooks that. It's funny, like a lot of crew I know that have moved up here in the last few years are like they get to spring and go, what's going on up here?
That's when you go to Indo or somewhere else.
This is pretty standard. Like spring up here is pretty bad. So I definitely had surfed plenty of crappy waves in my time. But I don't know. I had a really good epoxy board that DH made. Yeah. And it was kind of one of the first epoxies that he'd done. And it was just a magic stick. And I ended up clicking with that board and then the wave as well. And I don't know. Sometimes you just get on your run and you can't really, sometimes it happens when you don't expect it. You just like, oh, this is probably not my location to go good. And you just get on a run and things go your way. And that's kind of how it went, that event.
Yeah, I remember telling DH about this little kid in Burleigh Boardriders. He listened to me at least once anyway. Now, mate, what about Rottnest though? Where did Rottnest fall into that? Because you got third in your first ever WCT. That was in COVID as well, wasn't it? That
was the year after that event they did at Strad. I think at the start of COVID, they had one major QS down at Manly. They did the Australian Open of surfing.
Yep.
And then before it all shut down. And I think I got a 5th in that or something. And that was a pretty good result for me at the time, but it also put me at the top of the ratings out of the Australians. Obviously, I got 5th, so I was sitting whatever it was, equal 5th on the QS ratings. But the other Aussies, I think I was at the top or second or something. And then they had that CT leg come through Australia, and that's how it kind of worked. Is they chose the next highest on the QS to get a wild card, and I think someone else got the one they did at Newey, and then they did one in Narrabeen, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
And then Rottnest was the third one, so maybe I was third in line to get a wild card. And then, I got the call up. I was actually out on the drink.
That sounds Shane Arento is similar to a story.
I got a call from Renato while I was out, and
how much time did you have to get there?
I had a bit of time. It was a couple weeks out, but I thought I had nothing on. It was like when the bars sort of first opened. I was like, oh, yeah. And he's like, oh, you're in a comp, and I was like, what? So I got over there and got over to Rotto. I'd never been there before. It was pretty unreal. Pretty cool to learn about the history of the place. Crazy history. Yeah. With like the genocide of the local Aboriginal people over there and stuff was pretty full on, but it was a cool event. Yeah, they did a good job, and it was as I said, somewhere no one had been, and it worked out all right for me.
And you like the little slabby waves too. That wave you surfed, that was a nice little wave. It wasn't.
It's a cool wave. Yeah, it's sort of like a steeper but less perfect version of lowers, maybe. Oh yeah, that's how I put it. Like there was like kind of it may be reversed. Like the right was sort of short and bowly, and the left was a bit longer, but it would kind of section a bit. Yeah. And it was a fun little wave. It was tricky. I was surfing like an absolute kook in the lead up to the comp. Botsy was there because he was with traveling with Morgan Siblick and Matt McGilvray that were on tour at the time. So I just jumped in with them and we were doing some work before the event and I'm just going, I'm so screwed in this comp. Like watching everyone else is going, I'm so screwed. And then first heat I think I got like a 3 and a 1 and just got smoked and it was
that was when the losers round.
Before they got rid of that. So I was like, I'd ripped myself off. I'd wanted to go home. I was so embarrassed and just went, this is such a joke. And Botsy's had to talk me back from the edge of the cliff and go, come on, mate, you got another heat. Like, just pull it together. And then, I don't know what happened, but the next heat clicked and I made that one and just kind of got on a little roll and
till bloody Morgs beat you in the semi.
Bloody Morgs.
Bloody Morgs. But mate, you just mentioned Bottle. You and Bottle, because of course Bot's a Burleigh Boardrider. You're similar in stature and sort of the way your size and that. So he probably knows a lot about your surfing, as in because he's a big man too.
Yeah. Obviously, known Bottle for a long time. He's the hero of the Burleigh town. First guy to qualify from Burleigh, so
got a 10 at J Bay.
Yeah. So I've always looked up to him. I mean, he was sort of on tour when I first joined the club, and it was awesome to see him at the point. When you're a little kid going, "Whoa, there's Bottle," and he's just ripping. But the biggest thing I like about Bottle is he's just such a cruisy dude and a humble person, and he's got time for everyone, and he has since I was a little kid, and all of us groms, he'd always give us time and ask us how we're going, give us a couple of waves out the point, which was pretty cool. And then, eventually once he'd wrapped it up and he started to coach, it sort of just naturally happened that I started coaching with him and we sort of developed that relationship as well. And I've learnt so much from him over the years and have had a lot of good times with him and some tough times as well on the road. But it's been so cool to have someone like that that's not just a coach, but also like a friend and a mentor to kind of have in your corner.
Yeah, it's you got a good relationship, obviously, with Bottle. How is it on tour, mate, when you, because it's kind of a little sort of, you've only got your sort of smallish group, haven't you, of crew that you don't all hang together, or is it a bit more like everyone hangs together a bit more now?
I'd say that the Challenger Series and the CT are a little different in that respect. Like the Challenger Series, because you're not getting paid much, you kind of just scraping by. Everyone sort of jumps in together with accommodation and stuff to cut costs, and you're not bringing your own coach, so you're relying on each other a lot more, and it's pretty cool. It's a cool dynamic, especially with the Aussie crew. Everyone hangs out. Everyone gets down the beach to watch each other.
Girls, they're having a ball, eh?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we're always like, we'll rent out a house or whatever and just load it up to the absolute brim. Just couch space, whatever. Just get as many crew in there as you can, make it cheap, and everyone just hangs out, which is really cool. And then I guess on the CT, because there's a bit more, you got a bit more money to work with, so you're going to bring a coach and you want to do it a bit more professionally, so it kind of becomes a little bit more sterile, which I like the Challenger kind of thing. I like to try and get everyone together and to hang out, but that's just sort of the nature of how it works out. But on tour, it's definitely a much more like a tight-knit pack that you would travel with, and it's a smaller tour too, so there's less people. Everyone's kind of a bit more segregated.
What is in the Challenger, about 100 or something at the start, or 80 something?
Yeah, something. I think it's 92 or something at the moment.
Yeah, so where there's CT's 32.
Exactly, yeah. And then you got the top guys that just travel exclusively with their people. A John. He'll just have like a coach. He'll have filmer. He'll have, like, he had Chris Prosser with him last year when he won the title, and he just keeps it super tight, doesn't really let anyone else into the circle, and that's kind of how he runs it. And then, I don't know, you have some guys that like to travel in a bit more of a group, like you got Richard Dog Marsh's crew. Yeah. They all travel together, which is pretty cool. And everyone does it kind of differently, but I find the Challenger's sort of more of a just everyone jumps in together and helps each other out, and the tour is a bit more, all right, a bit more. No, I don't know what the perfect word for it would be, but it's like it's a bit more selfish. But you're trying to you're competing against the best of the best. You're trying to do everything as well as you can because you've got the means to do so. So
speaking of that, mate, the level of surfing when you go from like the Challenger or like you did from the QS into the CT, what's it sort of like when you? I know your first year you didn't get to do it, but what's it like when you when you actually go into that environment from the QS or Challenger to the CT? What's the surfing and competition level like?
Yeah, it's pretty daunting. The main reason is because you're going up against guys that you've always just watched and admired, you know.
Yeah.
Like going into heats with Geordie Smith or Medina, or, you know, when I first got on, Julian was still doing it, Nolan, and, you know, they're guys that you've looked up to and watched for your whole life as a Grom, and then all of a sudden you're in a heat next to them and they're not taking it easy on you. They're like trying to rip your head off and you're going, what the hell? Like, this is really odd. Yeah. So it's kind of weird at first. You got to get over that. You can't be starstruck. You got to. I think there's Bob Hurley had a quote. I don't know where I got it from, or where I heard it, but I'm pretty sure it was him that he said you got to have a healthy disrespect for the status quo, and I think it's so true. You got to be respectful at times, but when it comes time for the heat, you can't be sitting there going, that's Geordie, I'm going to let him have, you know, the inside. I don't want to ruffle his feathers. You kind of got to come in and go, well, it's you or me. I got to take it to you, you know.
I know you did a bit with Mark Richo. Did he get a bit of that mongrel in you?
Yeah. I'm pretty bad at it, to be honest. Like my nature's just to relax and stand off. But like if you're in a heat with one of those guys and they take it to you, you can't just back down and go, oh, well, it's, you know.
Yeah, you have the wave, mate.
You go, yeah.
I don't worry about my career. You've got yours.
Yeah, you kind of got to have that little bit of stuff. You're like, I'm gonna, you know, I want it too. It's not just, I'm not just gonna like lay down and let you have it. So that's kind of the toughest thing, I think, when you first qualify, and then just having confidence in yourself and trust in your own ability. It's easy to just get caught watching everyone else and going, whoa, look, he's done that. Whoa, he just did that.
And they're pretty fast too. I noticed the difference in, like, just when I'm free surfing before I commentate a comp, I noticed the difference in the actual speed of the surfing from QS to CT. It's like there's another 10 miles an hour or something on it. I don't know.
Yeah. I know. Those top-end guys, they just go so fast.
Oh, you're one of them, mate.
No.
You fly too, dude.
I don't know about that. But no, it's pretty cool to watch. But, yeah, you got to just kind of like almost forget about all that stuff and just go, it doesn't even matter. Like, I just got to do my thing in the heat and surf, like control everything I can and do everything that's in my power, and then just forget about all that extra noise, because it just messes with you if you kind of buy into it too much.
Well, mate, your first year, you go on the Pipe Masters. Burleigh Boardriders went absolutely crazy when you qualified. It was like nuts when you come back, and it was really cool. But then you go to the Pipe Masters, you're warming up, and you broke your ankle, was it? Or
Yeah.
What happened there? Because I remember seeing footage of it. It just looked like a ordinary barrel.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's pretty annoying, but pretty much to give context, I got to Hawaii early. I had a mental seize, and the waves were cooking the whole time. And then, morning of the event, I went out there to just as you do, just to warm up, feel what the ocean's doing on the day, try your board out. And I couldn't get a wave. It was so crowded, and it was pretty weird. It was solid, like a building swell, but it was a little bit morning sick and a bit jumbled. And I remember I just could not get a wave, and I was getting snagged by all these guys out there. Weren't even in the comp. I'm just going, fuck, get out of it, leave me alone. But in the end, I just sort of got this like little kind of inside double up wave, and it was like a 4-foot wave, and I pulled in, and because it had that morning sickness on it, I think a backwash came through the barrel as I was in the tube, and it pretty much like made the wave breathe and then clamp really abruptly.
All right.
And when it breathed, as the backwash came through, it kind of lifted me up off my board. I'm in like a pig dog stance, and lifted me up off my board. My back foot actually disconnected from the board, but I still kind of had the rail, was like holding the rail. And then as it clamped, it pushed me back down onto my board like really quickly. It all happened quite fast, but my foot came back down onto the board like toes down, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah,
and then just like shoved me down on top of and my toes nearly like touched my calf muscle.
Wow, I thought it was more like contact with the bottom, but it was just your board and getting
in a weird position on the board with like a backwash clamping me. And pretty much just like twisted my ankle, and like my toes were like nearly round, touching my friggin' calf muscle, and I just felt it like click 3 times, and my leg went numb and went, that wasn't
that's not good. Did you
then,
get in all right though?
Yeah, well, I popped up, and because it like went numb, and the way I did it, I was worried that like I'd done one of those compound fracture.
Oh,
I was just
you let the bone
overreacting.
hanging out or something.
Or like when your foot's around the wrong way, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of feeling my leg going, oh no, it's all good. Like I'm just overreacting as you do. But then I got to the beach and just like tried to stand on it just to see if it could take any weight, and it was just such a sharp pain. I just went, oh shit. Okay. And so I got carried off the beach. And
you were in hospital for a few days after that, weren't you? They did the full op, did they? Or
yeah, I was lucky actually that the doctor they had on site was an orthopedic surgeon, and he was on the beach as soon as I got carried up the beach. He like checked it out, went, oh yeah, you've popped your tibia.
Yeah.
But he said, oh, I can get you in to do surgery tonight. So I just went straight to the hospital and got it done that night, which was really, really like good.
Yeah, good for a bad
good
thing,
for a bad situation. And yeah, it was done then and there. So pretty much, just got shipped straight off the beach, straight to hospital, straight into surgery.
Recovery. Mate, that's one thing I wanted to ask. Like, it was your rookie year, but you didn't even get to surf. What was the reasoning they gave you that you'd had that was your rookie year?
I don't know. They just said it's just the first year you qualify, no matter what happens. That's
all right. So
that's
even if
year,
if you got injured before, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't understand it because it's like like how can you have a rookie year when you don't even surf one event? But anyway, how was the recovery from that, mate? Because obviously you've gone back to basically walking on crutches and everything like that. How quick was your recovery, or how hard did you have to work?
Yeah, it wasn't like, I mean, I wasn't getting told, oh, you're not going to surf again, or this is like a career ender or anything. Everyone was, all the medical professionals I spoke to were like, no, you're going to be fine. It's just going to take a little while. So that was positive. But it was just really, because I got surgery, I had a plate put in where it broke, and then I tore my syndesmosis as well, same injury, and they put what they call a tightrope in, which is just the syndesmosis kind of sits across the front of your ankle, and when you flex your toes towards your shin, your bones actually splay so that joint can move, but the syndesmosis ligament keeps the bones from, like, it kind of holds them. Yeah, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, kind of.
Anyway, so they put a tightrope there, and then there's all scar tissue, and it makes it really stiff. So when I'm trying to flex my toes back towards my shin, which they call dorsiflexion, it's just like, it was really stiff. That was the main thing I had to get back. And then my muscle, because I was in a cast for a while, I had like no calf
had to build your muscle back again.
Yeah, had to build the muscle back. But then the real main thing was that range of motion through my ankle.
And you did the Challenger that year, didn't you? How long was it from the injury to back on the Challenger?
Well, I had 4 months, and I think it was 4 months. And then, it was just really stiff for a long time. I was fine to surf because it had, all the hardware in there. It was solid, but I just wasn't surfing very good for a while. And, that was probably the hardest thing. It was getting back was, it's hard. You got to do rehab or whatever, but I was full of hope. And then once I'd kind of come back and was competing again, I was just surfing no good. And that's when the doubts came in. I was just like, wow, is this it? Is this as good as I'm going to surf again? Because it's not that good. And
you didn't have that flexibility, I suppose.
Just like didn't have the same springiness. Yeah. But over time, it slowly came back. It's just kind of a natural
And then
thing.
you qualified, mate, back on tour.
Yeah.
So how did that feel, actually getting that? You must have been over the moon. I think it was at the Pipe Masters, wasn't it, or something? No, it wasn't Pipe Masters.
Haleiwa they had.
Haleiwa, that's right, Haleiwa.
Oh, yeah, it's the best feeling. I mean, as I said, the start of the year
they left you to right to the end almost.
Yeah, was exactly. Yeah, because I lost the heat I needed to win. Like there was a heat that I had to, if I won, I was guaranteed. If I lost, it was sort of, in the hands of the other competitors. So I kind of had to sit around. But at that point, I'd kind of had such a up and down year that I was just stoked that I got back and was surfing good again and had a shot. And I was kind of in more of a place where I was just like, oh, if I'm on, that's great. But if I'm not, I'm stoked. Like I'm back doing what I want to do. And fortunately it went my way and I ended up back on there. So it worked out. It was a pretty quick turnaround. It wasn't too bad.
That's good. And you had a couple of good years there, mate. I think you got 17th. Was it the following year?
Yeah. Maybe the first year was my best one, I think. Yeah. And it's got on the downhill slide from there.
Well, mate, it must be hard, when you get knocked back to the Challenger series to go, well, okay, I've got to, pick me head up and go and go hard. And you seem to be going all right there, but it's a lot. It's always a challenge, I suppose.
For sure, yeah. It's just been like another experience where I've had to learn a lot. Like kind of like the injury was, until now or until probably until this year, like my whole career has kind of been on an upwards trajectory.
Yeah.
Even though it was only slow and there was a lot of, I'm just getting, I might go from 500th on the QS to 499th. But
I think you bet
there's
better
been
than
it's always been kind of trending up.
Yeah.
And then falling off too is the first time I've been trending down.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of it was a bit of a tricky one where you're like, wow, I gotta, what's going on here? Something's wrong. I gotta try and fix something that's going wrong. And I think I was too trying too hard almost and too impatient. Like, I'm gonna just do this and that, and then it'll be fine. I'll be good again. And then it just wasn't quite working out. And I think the big thing this year that I've sort of learnt has been just to do the work and do all the right things and as I was saying before, control what I can and do it well, but then not have so much of an expectation on a result because I've done the work, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get that. It
doing
is
it
what
and
it
then
is.
being patient, like, okay, well, I've done what I can. I'm going to compete hard. I'm going to do my thing. And if the result comes, that's great. But if it doesn't, I'm not going to get bitter about it and go, oh, this is bullshit. I did all this work and I still lost. Like, what a waste of time this is. Just let the results be what they are, because I just do my head in like going, man, I've done all this work and I'm going backwards. Like, what's going on here?
But I've noticed though, mate, your heat scores and your wave scores have been increasing from the judging panel. I know that must get frustrating for some surfers, where you're going, I remember Parko talking about Chapu going like, I paddled so deep and I pulled into the thing and I was shitting myself and I was like, fuck, I come out and I got a 4. It's like it must get frustrating yourself when hey, I thought I've just done that, and then you don't get a score. But I've noticed, particularly at Burleigh, they were giving you some good scores there when you were in the CT there this year.
Yeah, slid him a couple of bucks for that.
They had champ knocking on the jack. Yeah.
No, it's just like one of those factors that it's not in your hands. Like you can't. You can get so. You can do your head in worrying about scores. Like, was this score this? Was that? Blah, blah, blah. You almost got to just treat it like it's a constant. The score is just what the score is. I've got no control over that, and I just have to react to. I did a floater and they gave me this much, and then I did a snap and they gave me this much. Yeah. Or instead of going, oh well, that's bullshit. Like, the snap should be? We'll just go, oh well, they like the floater, all right? I'll do the floater if that's what it is. I think that's kind of more the approach that I've found you have to take, is just don't get too embroiled in that.
Yeah, the whole same with the close losses and
exactly.
That, I always say to the Groms when they have a close, I said, mate, it needs to be where there's no doubt. You've got to do it so there's no doubt, and then there's no crying about scores or anything, because you left no doubt in their mind.
Yeah. And that's just part of the sport too. It's a subjective sport, and the judges, they cop a lot of flack, but all those guys, they're so passionate about what they do and they're so well versed in scoring. It's not an easy job. Like, as I said, they might, one guy might think this, and then the next person might think this, and then you're never going to all agree on the same thing. Yeah. So it's just one of those things where, sometimes you might feel like you got a bit gypped, or sometimes you might feel like you got a bit juiced, but you just kind of take it all in your stride and not worry about it too much. It's kind of irrelevant, really.
Mate, it's great to see you giving back to Burleigh Boardriders too. Like, one particular thing I remember, young Tommy Whitpain, he broke his leg in about 3 places, his femur. He's lucky he's alive where he broke it. Because you broke the bottom end, he broke the top end. He's a big fella.
Crazy.
And I remember sending you a text because his dad said, he's a bit down. I sent you a text. And you went round and hung out with the young bloke. Did you tell him basically about how you recovered? Was that how you sort of...
Yeah, pretty much. His one was way worse than mine. He's done such a good job to come back. But I don't know. Same. When you hit me up, I was like, if I can lend a bit of, even if it's crap advice, just lend a bit of empathy, then I will, because I've kind of been there and know what it's like to just be bedridden and feel like you're going backwards and that you're toast. So, no, I mean, that was just, Tommy's such a good young fella.
And it's good, mate. You give Hanarts a bit of a hand when you're here too, like coaching the kids. They must love that though. Like, I know you're a pretty humble bloke and that, but if you understand, it's like when you were a kid, Bottle was there. It's a similar thing for those kids. seeing you there because they see you, in the comps and all that. So
Yeah, I don't know. You don't get much out of them. They're pretty staunch, but
yeah.
no, they. I don't know. I just try and repay the favour, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
like for everything I got when I was a kid, and if I'm in a position where I can give back and someone wants to listen to my my crap, then I'll happily go and impart any knowledge that I've got. But yeah, it's just I feel like that's a cool thing about surfing, whether it's through a board riders club or just a local community. There's always this sort of this situation where the elder statesmen they're like educating the younger crew coming through, and then the baton gets passed on, and then the younger crew they become the kind of the elder statesmen, and they educate the next generation, and it goes on and on like that, and it's pretty cool. It creates just a really tight knit feel, like a lot of camaraderie in a surf community, and I think it's just a cool thing to try and keep going, and it's a cool part of our sport.
Well, that's what I think, like now, even with Burleigh Boardriders, Edward and the other guys like me are sort of out of the picture, but you've got Jed and Jesse and Hamish and all those guys that were the grommets of Burleigh. Now they've taken over running the club. So it's similar in that way too. They're giving back as well, and hopefully see their groms in the events too. Mate, now, like, you're a mad charger. I'm out, like, what was that, the last one, the Friction of Perception? Was that the last? Yeah. Mate, that last movie, like, Wandering's pretty awesome too, but, like, mate, you guys are freaking mad. You and Hanada and whoever else went on that adventure with you. Like, is it true that, like, because you went South Australia and places like that, didn't you? Like, all these unknown. You took a shark attack kit with yous? Like a rescue kit?
Yeah, I did a trip with Hanada once, and he brought a tourniquet. And he'd have it on the I mean, it was smart because that could save your life. But it's just like, I don't want to have to think about that right now. And we'd be the only people out. And it was just like, the most spooky lineups. And he'd have it. Like, I'm just going to put the tourniquet here on the beach if you need it. You just can't. Shit, man, we don't need that.
Tell you what, Hanada's, I think he's just as mad as you too. He goes hard, Hanada.
Oh, he goes harder than me. He's a maniac.
Well, I remember when you guys were groms, and like I think you and Nick Callister and Hanada just all went to Hawaii, and then I've seen all this footage of Hanada getting waves at Pipe, and it's just like, how did that little punk get a wave at Pipe?
Yeah, the eyes roll back in his head, and he's just so desperate for one. He just
goes.
Whatever's available to him, he's going.
But yeah, mate, that must have been an adventure doing those films, and it's really great that like after Billabong were gone, that Whistler came on board. Like Whistler's kind of second home because Tobes is one of your best mates, and it sort of seems to fit really well with the Whistler brand.
Yeah. I mean, I had a great run with Billabong. I mean, they looked after me for a long time, and I'm very grateful for all those years. But yeah, unfortunately, that didn't work out a couple of years ago, and I was lucky to be able to jump across to Whistler. And like you said, I've known John Mossop, who runs Whistler Australia, forever since I was a little kid, and his son Toby is one of my best mates. So it was such a cool fit to be able to just jump right across. And then, they've been so supportive of me since day one. And I've always loved films and trying to make films.
Yeah. Because you have a bit to do with it, don't you? Like, you do a fair bit of the...
Yeah, I try. I probably should just leave it to the professionals, but I get Darcy in there and muddle things up. Yeah. But it's just a fun process for me to like start out with an idea and then try and bring it to life.
You select the music?
I do a bit of both. I actually had a friend, Daniel Laurie, he's from the coast, he's from Palmy. He actually wrote a lot of the tracks for that
sick.
film.
Well, Panasonics will be on the next one.
Yeah,
got the T-shirt there, get a Panasonics on. We've got a new album coming out soon. Shameless plug. Got to do it. But, mate, speaking of you and Tabes, last year, Cyclone Alfred, I've pulled up the top of the point. And I reckon it's the biggest I've ever seen Burleigh. And I've had other people, you're full of shit, but whatever. Like, I've seen a lot of it. And you and Tabes are out there, and I think some other people later on. That was, like, crazy. You're way past the shark nets.
Yeah, there's a lot of water moving out there.
Yeah, that was huge. And I remember Phil Clayton was on before, and he said that, like, he's seen his blokes get a few waves, but he
paddled out there on a clubby board.
I know.
Absolute maniac.
Well, he lost it, and he said, like, he's a pretty experienced guy, but he found his clubby board in the trees at 4th Avenue. The trees. That's where he found it.
I couldn't believe that was the first day. And there was him and another guy, I forget his name, apologies, but the two of them.
Kai Hurst. I think. Yeah.
The two of them got out there. I was just going, wow, these guys are freaking maniacs. It wasn't, I mean, the size of the waves was massive, of course, but, you know, you surf waves like that in Hawaii, no worries. Yeah. But it was just more the fact that it was just completely overloading the bank, and the period was so short that it'd just be like sets breaking on top of each other, and there's just so much current and so much turbulence and just chaos that to paddle out there was so impressive. I was like, these guys have done a good job to make it.
Well, they had
out.
Palsy helping them out. If Palsy said, like, okay, go out the creek, go this far, and you go over the first one, and then I'll signal you when to go. Because obviously you don't duck dive those slabs of foam.
Nah, it'd be so tricky. Yeah, I don't know how they pulled it off. But yeah, like I'm not like the biggest, I love trying to like paddle into waves.
Yeah.
But yeah, that day I just conceded defeat and jumped on the old jet ski because it was just so much water. I tried to paddle a couple in between sets, but you'd kind of like, as soon as you'd be in the water, you'd be drifting like 10 k's an hour down the point, and 30 seconds and you'd be down at the pipe, like down the beach. So it was just, it was pretty hard. But on the ski, you could kind of sneak in and grab a couple.
Well, you and Taves were going turn for turn on there. I noticed once when it was your turn on the ski, Taves got one and flicked out and you were caught inside and Taves was out the back, and I reckon about 6 of the biggest sets come through and he had to duck dive and you couldn't get to him. He was saying something, going, fuck, you lob.
I know. It was, as I said, it was just like the period was so short for such a large swell that it was like set on set on set. So it was kind of bit freaky because you could easily kind of have like a 2-wave hold down because they were quite close together. Yeah. But I remember that. I stepped him off onto a dart and then I couldn't get back to him. You're just on your own once you got the ski, but you can't really get to people when there's just so much chaos like that. Yeah, well, that's where a lot of people have got to realise if you're going to surf those kind of waves, you've got to be able to have the ability to just get in yourself. Yeah, you pretty much got to be happy that if the ski if the ski breaks your board and everything, if they can't get to you, you lose your board, you got to be like, okay, I'm going to still be able to sort myself out here. Because, that's a very real possibility. Like even if the ski doesn't break, so easy to roll it. And then, even what happened to Tobes, you can't get to him. There's just too much turbulence, too much white water. You got to just... What did he say to you when you pulled up, when you eventually got out there? He was pretty puffed. Where were you? Oh, mate, you love the big stuff, and you seem to have a real affinity with Hawaii, as does Toby, because I remember once they started the Pipe Masters because Tobe's got one at Backdoor. Look at that guy. He just got one. I think he was a young fella. Yeah, then. I was there with him, actually. That was pretty cool. Yeah, we paddled. I was crapping myself, and he was all fired up to get out there, and I didn't catch a wave, and he got an absolute bomb at Backdoor, and then, they threw it on after that. It was pretty cool. Well, I know Tobes, we was about 14 or something. Then all of a sudden at 15, it just clicked with him and he was out taking off so deep at Sharkies on ridiculous things. He ended up cutting his hand one time, and someone dropped in on him really badly. It might have been Billy, smoked him. But, that's what you get when you're a grommet out with the big boys. But, mate, you seem to love the big stuff, particularly paddling it. You do a lot like backdoor off the wall sort of thing, or ain'ts, or because I noticed those big waves that you got, it might have been 2 winters ago, was it, or 3 winters ago? Yeah, probably 2. Oh, yeah, probably 2 winters ago. And they were like crazy. Was that down at off the wall or more towards backdoor? Or they're not that crazy compared to what a lot of guys are doing these days. But I've been lucky to get to go to Hawaii a lot since I was pretty young, especially with Billabong in the early days and staying at the house over there and stuff. So it's an unreal place, as you know. It's just there's not really many other places that have that amount of swell for that long and that consistently. You get the swells like that at other places and bigger, but you just don't get it. Like Hawaii, you'll go there, sometimes you won't even see a wave under 6 foot for months, and it's amazing. But I mean, in my experience there, it's pretty locked down. The locals are pretty hungry. You seem to have a pretty good rapport with most of them, though, mate. You seem to get a bit of a rep going. I'll just stay out of their way. But they're all good dudes. But it's kind of like it'd be like here if it only broke. Burleigh, if it only broke half a year, and then every time there was a swell, there's 50,000 people from all around the world fly in for it. It'd just be so annoying. So fuck you guys. Yeah, I fully understand why they just go, right, we're getting the sets and you guys can fight for the scraps, and they fully get that. It's fair enough. So with that in mind, I just try and find my little waves where I can around the lineup. I'll sit down it off the wall a fair bit, it's kind of a closeout most of the time, but every now and then
once.
Yeah. Every now and then you get a corner, and that's kind of an option because there isn't many good ones, not as many crew sit down there. And then, I don't know, just trying to surf those sort of not perfect days when the local guys might give it a miss, and you might just get the odd nug come through, or there's a window where it cleans up.
How do you throw yourself over the edge, mate? Because in that, I think, wandering and in the other one, the friction of perception, I think, did I get that right?
Yeah.
Friction of perception. Mate, you throw yourself over the ledge at a couple of pipes. Like, what are you thinking as you're going to do that? Like, or you're not thinking?
I'm just trying to keep up with everyone else out there. You're just watching the craziest stuff go down. You're kind of like, I gotta do something so I don't look like a fool out here. But I don't know, that you just sort of got to paddle as hard as you can at those waves and just hang on more than anything. That's seems to be the way to do it.
I just hang on and make sure you make it.
Yeah, I once got told that you got to paddle as hard at a wave as it's coming at you. And if it's, if it's a really heavy, meaty wave, you got to go just as hard at it. Otherwise, you're just not going to make it. You're not going to get the entry. So
that makes full sense, because if you go soft on paddle on a wave, generally you're just going for a ride over the falls.
Yeah. So that's I kind of try and keep that in mind. It's like, if I'm going to go, I'm going to just fully commit, and even once you stand up, not like kind of getting up and moving slow, like move fast, get down on your front foot.
Cat-like.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just try and watch the other guys out there that are real good and copy them. But, the guys like John and Jamie, they got it so wide. It's just
they've been
ridiculous.
doing it a while. It's in their backyard. That's...
Yeah. But, they're like, you just kind of watch what they do out there, and you kind of just go, well, if they can do that, I can probably do half as good. So I'll just go for half as good.
But that's good that you got a bit of a rep there for solid stuff, mate. But it's well deserved, because those two films that you put out, I think that friction of perception we had out at the brewery out there, and I just was looking, going, what the fuck was that? It's like, I was kind of like going, holding my breath just watching it on film, because I thought, well, he's here, he's alive, but what? But yeah, mate, that's unreal. Now, mate, future goals, like I know, like you're looking to get on tour next year, but obviously, unless you're Kelly Slater, you're not on the tour till you're 50. Well, you could be, but like, what are your future goals? I know you've done a bit of engineering. What's the sort of, are you looking at continuing to get that engineering degree at some stage?
Yeah, I haven't. The last few years, I've just been deferring and focusing on the surfing. And I'm probably at a point now where I've got to start thinking about the future a bit more. But to be completely honest, up until now, when surfing became sort of a career for me, I've just put everything into that, and I've been completely focused on that. But yeah, I mean, beyond surfing, I'd love to try and finish that degree one day.
And what sort of part of engineering were you looking at doing?
I was still first year when I kind of rolled my leads up.
Okay, I'm going surfing.
It was still pretty general, but I feel like I would try and go sort of something to do with the ocean. I mean, James Lewis from Burleigh, he's a coastal engineer.
Yeah.
And that looks like a pretty interesting gig, and just all the maths surrounding how the ocean works, how sand moves.
Like maths. That's it. Maths is a language, though, I've been told. Is that correct?
I guess I'm not that great at it, but I do enjoy the how it all just solves so neatly. It sounds weird, but
there you go.
It's a satisfying thing when you get to a solution. It's just, all right, that's the solution. That's it. There's no if, buts, or
it's cut and dry.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think maybe something kind of like coastal engineering wise would be pretty interesting. But yeah, as I said, I'm a long way from it. My brother's actually doing that. He's got a year left on his degree, and he's trying to move into that world. So
he might get there before you, mate. He might give you a job.
He will. Yeah, I'll be begging my younger brother for a job.
Mate, but you've got really, it's you've got the CT ahead of you next year. You still got to qualify. Well, how many events have we got? I know we've got Newcastle, because I'm going to be there. Pipe.
Yeah, just the two.
That's just the two.
Yeah, Pipe is on the 29th of January, I think. I might be a day before or after that. Yeah. And then Newcastle's mid-March.
Yeah,
and that's it. So then after Newcastle, Bells isn't long after, sometime in April, I think. So
it'll be straight on if you're on.
If you get on,
on.
you're kind of straight down to Bells.
Oh, it's not too bad. I'm stoked. I got the gig to commentate down at that Newey. That'll be a bit of fun. But mate, Pipe, you'd be looking forward to go to that. And but it's going to be a big field at Pipe. Are they be 4-man heats?
Yeah, it'll be 4-person heats. I don't know the exact format, but usually over there in the non-CT events, they just run 4-person heats to the final because they have, with the permits, the way it works, they only have a certain amount of days they're allowed to run. So, typically 4-person heats. But, excited for it, but it's pretty, it's always pretty nerve-wracking going.
I know, because 2 events left. I got to hold my position because it's the top 10, isn't it, that get in. You're sitting,
and then even just surfing Pipe's always scary.
Well, mate, I looked at Off the Wall was enough for me. I had a look, and I think I got 2 waves. I got one. Well, I know I didn't get. I got one. I got one bashed. I got one washed to the shore once. It's amazing there. The shore's so close.
Yeah, just on the beach all of a sudden.
Yeah, you get caught inside and you're on the beach. It's like, oh, okay. I'll go back out. And the second one I got lipped and got washed to the beach again. I said, oh, well, at least I got one. But it wasn't really that good that day I was there, but it was...
You got a few bombs out at sunset, didn't you?
I got a couple of waves at sunset. I wouldn't call them bombs, but I got a couple anyway. I don't know how you blokes do it. Like, coming off... That's the thing I've got to ask you. It's sunset, right? How big a board do you ride at sunset?
Depends how big it is, but probably like a 6-7.
Like I was riding a 7.6 and it felt so hard to get off the bottom of the wave.
Yeah.
Like the bottom turn seems to be the hardest thing to do at sunset. Would that be right?
Yeah. I guess it's just there's so much, it's not a perfect wave, so there's all that chop and kind of wobble on it, and that makes it quite tricky. So like getting up into the lip's always hard. It's hard to time it. It's a tricky wave. But there's sort of 2 schools of thought out there. There's guys that ride pretty long boards, and then guys like your Johns that ride really little boards out there. Yeah. And I think the theory with him is it's because it's so small, he's got so much control, he can actually take the board into the parts of the wave where it is easier to do the turns instead of being kind of stuck just, following where the board wants to go. He can actually direct it a bit more. But I don't know. I don't think I'd even catch a wave. I think he rides like a 6.2 out there or something stupid.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I'd even get a wave.
Well, I was struggling to catch on a 7.6, but I was back then. I was 115 kilos. There was more chins than the Chinese phone book going on here, I tell you. But that was when I gave up booze. Straight after that, I said, I went to Hawaii and I said, no, that's it. I'm having a break. And I'm still on a break, but 9 years
Good
later.
Job.
But it's just like, I find that, fitness is a big thing over there. That's like, because it's so hard. You're actually competing with the wave as well as yourself over there, sort of thing. And if you're in a comp, God, that's another level.
Yeah, no, you get when you're just surfing over there a lot, you kind of just get conditioned by the waves, I think.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's just so much like water moving and paddling, and it's like sunset's a big lineup. So if you're surfing there, you're doing big long laps and snap a leggy and it's a big old swim in. Yeah,
people don't realise how far out the back it is and how long it takes. It looks like it's not far to just paddle out there, but it's so far out the back.
Yeah, it looks closer than it is.
Yeah, it certainly does. And like you probably find, this is what Micah told me when he goes, wait till you go back home. It's a piece of piss. Yeah. It's like you go home after you've been surfing sunset or something. Oh, what, that? That's nothing. I can duck dive that. It just makes... Well, that's it. Yeah, it makes surfing easy once you've surfed Hawaii because it's hard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like even just how nice and perfect the waves can be around here. Yeah. Over there, it's always got like a little bit of wobble and a little bit of sort of uneasiness about it. Of course, you get your perfect days, but because there's just so much like the big period oceany waves, they're not like really groomed. It's not like they're being wrapped into a bay where it's just perfect, like a snapper, for example. So you come home and you can just... It's almost like you can just do whatever you want. You can just, I can turn here, I can turn there. It's just so much easier. But there you're at the mercy of the wave a lot more. Where it's certain things you just can't.
Where's your favourite wave over there? Like,
I love Pipe backdoor off the wall. Probably had some of my better waves there at off the wall just because I can actually get a couple. Yeah. But, those 3 spots are unreal. But Sunset and Haleiwa, like Big Haleiwa is such a good wave. I really love that spot.
I never surfed that one, but I always wanted to.
Yeah, it's so cool. When it's a bit smaller, it's kind of tricky, but once it gets to a certain size and it's like, it just gets like top to bottom and
It's that big
Really-
bowl going. And it keeps
Yeah.
sucking you out to sea there. It's reverse sweep. isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, the
However,
reverse
yeah.
current.
Yeah. You end up in the bay where Gilligan's Island started.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but no, that's a fun wave. I really enjoy that one.
Oh, that's cool, mate. And so next event, off to Hawaii. When you off to Hawaii, mate?
I'm going to go 2 weeks before the comp, so I'll probably leave on the 12th of Jan.
And get in with everybody that's going crazy. I've been told November's the worst time to go there because that's when the season starts and everybody's angry.
Yeah, everyone's pretty antsy to get their waves.
Yeah,
It's been pretty pumping over there at the moment too. So
yeah. Oh, you'll be hanging to get in there, mate. So
yeah.
well, Liam, it's been great to have you on the green room, mate. An honour to have you here. And, mate, well done and good luck. And we'll see you on the tour next year, I reckon, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, Tappa. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, folks. Thanks for tuning into the green room. Hey, folks, would you like to get your name in the Green Room podcast? Well, we are looking for sponsors. So if you want to get a sponsorship, check it out at Podfire. Lots of people can hear about your product on one of the best podcasts around the green room. So check it out, Podfire. Thanks for tuning into the Green Room. A big thank you to our guests for sharing their stories and insights, and Podfire for bringing this podcast to life. Don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a review, and share the Green Room with your friends. We'll catch you next time for more conversations with the legends of surf and beyond. Until then, catch you in the waves.